The alarm siren screamed across the mining colony of Kepler 442b, but Captain Hana already knew they were too late. She stood on the command deck of the defense station, watching the sensor screens light up with hostile contacts. 12 alien warships had dropped out of faster-than-light travel just outside the colony's orbit. They were massive, their hulls covered in strange organic patterns that pulsed with violet light. "Get everyone to the underground shelters," Hana ordered, her voice steady, despite the fear crushing her chest. "All civilian transports, launch now. Head for the outer system." Her crew moved quickly, but Hana knew the truth. The colony had 4 small defense ships. The aliens had 12 warships, each one 10 times larger than anything humanity had ever built. This wasn't a battle. This was an execution. The alien ships opened fire without warning, without any attempt at communication. Beams of superheated plasma tore through the colony's outer structures. The agricultural domes exploded in silence, their transparent walls shattering into millions of glittering fragments. Hana watched the civilian transport her brother Taemin was piloting try to escape. An alien beam caught it squarely, and the ship simply ceased to exist. "All defense ships, engage the enemy," Hana said, her voice breaking only slightly. "Buy time for the civilians." The 4 human ships launched, their railguns and missile tubes firing everything they had. It was like throwing stones at a mountain. The alien shields absorbed the impacts without even flickering. In response, 3 of the alien warships turned their attention to the defense fleet. Within minutes, 3 human ships were gone. Only Hana's command ship remained, and it was badly damaged. Down on the planet's surface, Chief Engineer Dae Jung ran through the underground tunnels, helping colonists reach the deepest shelters. He was a big man with calloused hands and a practical mind that never stopped working on solutions. As the ground shook from orbital bombardment, he pulled a young girl out of a collapsed doorway and carried her to safety. "Sir, the main reactor is taking damage," one of his engineers reported over the radio. "If it goes, the whole southern sector will be destroyed." "Shut it down," Dae Jung ordered. "Manual shutdown now. I don't care if we lose power." He made it to the main shelter and sealed the blast doors just as another explosion rocked the colony. Through the reinforced walls, he could hear the screams of those who hadn't made it in time. 2,000 people lived in this colony. Dae Jung knew that number was dropping fast. In orbit, Hana's ship was dying. The main engines were offline, life support was failing, and fires burned in 3 compartments. She had ordered the crew to evacuate, but she remained on the bridge. If she was going to die, she would die watching her enemy. That was when something unexpected happened. The largest alien warship, the one that had destroyed Taemin's transport, suddenly shuddered. Its organic hull patterns flickered and went dark. Explosions rippled along its spine, small at first, then growing larger. The ship had been in the middle of charging its main weapon when something went catastrophically wrong with its power systems. "Captain, that dreadnought is going critical," her sensor officer reported, his voice filled with shock. "Their reactor is overloading." Hana watched as the massive alien ship began to list, its engines sputtering. The other alien vessels immediately broke off their attack and began moving away at high speed. They were abandoning their flagship. "They're leaving," the sensor officer said. "All hostile ships are jumping to faster than light. They're running." The alien dreadnought, now completely powerless and burning from a dozen internal explosions, began falling toward the planet. Hana's damaged ship could barely maneuver, but she managed to move out of its path. The massive alien vessel streaked through the atmosphere like a dying star, its hull heating to white-hot temperatures. It crashed into the barren plains 200 kilometers from the main colony, carving a trench 10 kilometers long into the rocky ground. Then there was silence. The attack had lasted 40 minutes. The aliens were gone, leaving their broken ship behind like discarded trash. 3 days later, Hana stood in the ruins of the colony's main habitat dome, waiting for the relief fleet from Earth. Of the 2,000 colonists, only 800 had survived. The rest were dead, including her brother. The alien ship sat on the horizon, a mountain of twisted metal and strange organic technology that occasionally sparked with residual energy. Admiral Sung Ho arrived with 30 ships and 5,000 personnel. He was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen too many battles. He found Hana in the temporary command center, staring at reports of the dead. "Captain, I'm sorry for your losses," Sung-ho said quietly. "Earth Command has ordered me to destroy the alien wreck. We can't risk them coming back for it." "No," Hana said, looking up at him. "Don't destroy it." Sung-ho raised an eyebrow. "Captain? They left it behind because they thought it was worthless. They thought we couldn't use it." Hana stood and walked to the window, looking at the crashed ship. They were wrong. That was when Dae-jung entered the room, covered in dust and carrying a data tablet. "Admiral Captain, you need to see this. My team did a preliminary scan of the wreck. That ship is a Velkari Empire flagship-class dreadnought, the most advanced warship they have." "Had," Hana corrected. "Now it's ours." "It's damaged beyond repair," Sung-ho protested. "We don't have the technology to fix alien systems." Dae-jung smiled grimly. "We don't need to fix it, we need to learn from it. Strip it down, understand how it works, and rebuild it our way. Admiral, that ship has weapons that can destroy planets, power systems we've only theorized about. If we can make even 10% of it work, we'll have a weapon that can hit back." Sung-ho was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Earth Command will never approve this. The politicians are already talking about peace negotiations. They're terrified of escalating. "The Velkari killed 2,000 people here without warning, without reason," Hana said, her voice cold. "They'll do it again at the next colony, and the next. We can't negotiate with them. We need to show them that attacking humanity has consequences." 3 weeks later, after fierce debates in Earth's government, the decision was made. The crashed Velkari dreadnought would be salvaged, studied, and rebuilt. The operation was named Prometheus Protocol, after the ancient human myth of stealing fire from the gods. Hana accepted command of the project. Dae-jung became chief engineer. Admiral Sung-ho secured the funding and personnel. They began constructing an orbital shipyard above Kepler 442b, right where the massacre had happened. Every person working on the project had lost someone in the attack. They worked with grief and rage fueling their hands. The Velkari had made a fatal mistake. They had assumed humanity was too primitive, too weak to threaten them. They had left their most powerful warship behind like garbage, never imagining the humans could use it. They would learn. Humanity would make sure of that. The orbital shipyard above Kepler 442b grew larger every day. Hundreds of transport ships arrived from Earth and the other colonies, bringing engineers, scientists, soldiers, and supplies. The shipyard's skeleton structure stretched across 10 kilometers of space, built specifically to house the massive Velkari dreadnought they had dragged up from the planet's surface. Dr. Yuna stood in the observation deck, watching robotic arms carefully cut into the alien ship's hull. She was a small woman with tired eyes and quick hands that never stopped moving. Before the attack, she had been a university professor studying theoretical xenotechnology. Now she was responsible for making that theory into reality. "The first team that tried to access the bridge died," Dae-jung said, walking up beside her. "The ship's automatic defenses activated. Some kind of neural disruptor. Their brains just stopped working." "Did you recover their bodies?" Yuna asked. "Yes. I've ordered all teams to stay out of the ship until we understand its security systems better." Dae-jung pulled up a holographic display. "Look at this. The ship isn't just technology, it's partly alive. These sections here are biological, grown rather than built. The Velkari don't just construct their ships, they breed them." Yuna leaned closer, fascinated and disturbed. "That explains why our equipment can't interface with their systems. We're trying to hack into something that thinks." Over the next 3 months, the salvage teams worked carefully, mapping every system in the dreadnought. They discovered the ship's power core used a type of reactor humanity had never seen before, something that bent space itself to generate energy. The weapons were plasma-based, but operating on principles that made human plasma technology look like children's toys. The engines could push the ship to speeds that should tear it apart, held together by fields the scientists didn't fully understand. Commander Jin Woo arrived with the first batch of pilots selected for the project. He was young for a commander, only 30 years old, but he had survived more combat missions than most veterans twice his age. He walked through the shipyard with his flight team, looking at the alien vessel with deep suspicion. "You want us to fly that?" he asked Hana when they met in the command center. "Eventually," Hana replied. "Right now, we need you to help us understand how the Valkyrie fight. Study their tactics, their combat recordings, everything we can pull from the ship's databanks." Jinwoo spent weeks reviewing battle footage recovered from the Dreadnought's memory systems. The Valkyrie fought in rigid formations, following strict tactical doctrines that seemed unbreakable. Their ships moved in perfect coordination like pieces in a game of chess. It was effective, but it was predictable. "They don't improvise," Jinwoo told Hana one evening. "Look at this battle. The Valkyrie commander had a perfect opportunity to flank the enemy, but he didn't take it because it wasn't in their standard attack pattern. They're powerful, but they're inflexible. That's their weakness," Hana said, understanding immediately. "We can use that." The first major breakthrough came when Dr. Yuna discovered that the ship's biological components responded to neural patterns. The Valkyrie literally thought their commands to the ship, and it obeyed. Human brains worked differently but not incompatibly. She developed a neural interface that could translate human thoughts into signals the ship understood. "We need to test this," Yuna said, holding up a prototype headset. "But I'll be honest, this could kill whoever tries it first. The ship might reject the human neural pattern." "I'll do it," said a young engineer named Hyun-sik. He was barely 25, with dark circles under his eyes from months of sleepless work. He had lost his entire family in the Kepler 442b massacre. "If it works, we can hurt them back. If it kills me, at least I tried." They strapped Hyun-sik into a test chamber connected to a small section of the ship's living systems. The moment they activated the interface, Hyun-sik screamed. His body convulsed, blood running from his nose. Dae-jung moved to shut it down, but Yuna stopped him. "Wait, look at the readings. The ship is responding." On the monitors, they could see the biological components shifting, adapting. The ship was trying to understand this new type of mind connected to it. After 30 seconds that felt like hours, Hyun-sik stopped screaming. His eyes opened and he smiled. "I can feel it," he whispered. "It's angry. The ship is angry at the Valkyrie for abandoning it. It wants to work with us." From that moment, progress accelerated. The ship wasn't just technology to be reverse engineered. It was a living thing that wanted revenge as much as the humans did. The biological systems began adapting themselves to human control, growing new neural pathways that interfaced more smoothly with human operators. Dae-jung's engineering team started replacing damaged Valkyrie systems with human technology, creating hybrids. They grafted human computer systems into alien processing cores. They modified the plasma weapons to fire faster, even if it meant sacrificing some range. They reinforced the living hull with earth alloys, making it stronger but less elegant. Hyun-sik became obsessed with the weapon systems. He worked 18-hour days developing new ways to use the Valkyrie technology. He discovered the plasma cannons could be modified to specifically target biological systems. The irony was perfect. The Valkyrie's own weapons, improved by humans, could be turned against their living ships. "We're not just rebuilding this ship," Hyun-sik told Hana one day, his eyes gleaming with fierce determination. "We're making it into something the Valkyrie never imagined. Something they'll fear." 14 months into the project, they were ready for the first power-up test. Admiral Sung-ho arrived from Earth to observe, along with representatives from the government. Thousands of personnel evacuated the shipyard as a precaution. Only a small team remained, including Hana, Dae-jung, Yuna, and Jinwoo. "Initialize the reactor," Hana ordered. The ship came alive. The biological sections pulsed with light, but it was different now. Instead of the violet glow of Valkyrie technology, it shone with a blue-white luminescence from the human power systems integrated throughout. The hybrid reactor hummed to life, generating more power than any human ship had ever produced. "All systems responding," Dae-jung reported, watching his screens with amazement. "The hybrid interfaces are working. The ship is accepting our commands. What do we call it?" Admiral Sung-ho asked. "It's not Valkyrie anymore, but it's not purely human either." Hana looked at the ship, this creature of revenge born from humanity's grief and ingenuity. "Requiem," she said. "We call it Requiem, a song for the dead and a promise to those who killed them." The ship seemed to pulse in agreement, its biological systems resonating with the name. The Requiem was alive, it was angry, and it was ready. But they needed more time to train the crew, to test the weapons, to prepare for the war everyone knew was coming. That time ran out 3 weeks later when Admiral Sung-ho received urgent intelligence. The Valkyrie had attacked 2 more human colonies, killing thousands more. They were testing humanity's defenses, probing for weakness before launching a full invasion. The Valkyrie Empire had decided humanity was a problem to be eliminated. "We're not ready," Dae-jung protested when Hana announced they were taking the Requiem into combat. "We haven't finished testing half the systems." "We're ready enough," Hana replied, pulling on her captain's uniform. "The Valkyrie think we're helpless. They've forgotten about this ship entirely. It's time to remind them. It's time to teach them that humanity doesn't forget." Jin-woo assembled his fighter pilots. Hyun-sik armed the weapons he had spent a year perfecting. Dr. Yuna calibrated the neural interfaces. Dae-jung ran final checks on the hybrid systems. And Hana stood on the bridge of the Requiem, feeling the ship respond to her thoughts like an extension of her own body. They departed Kepler 442b with a single mission: find a Valkyrie target, hit it hard, and make sure the entire Empire knew that the ship they had abandoned had come back to haunt them. The Requiem moved through space like a predator hunting prey. On the bridge, Captain Hana sat in the command chair, feeling the ship's biological systems humming beneath her feet. The neural interface connected her thoughts directly to the vessel, and sometimes she couldn't tell where her mind ended and the ship's awareness began. Approaching the combat simulation zone, Jin-woo reported from the helm. He wore a neural interface headset, his hands moving across controls that responded as much to his thoughts as his touch. "All fighter craft ready for deployment. Begin simulation," Hana ordered. The Requiem sensors created virtual enemy ships in the empty space around them, projecting the combat scenario directly into the crew's neural interfaces. To their augmented senses, the Phantom Valkyrie warships looked completely real. This was their 10th simulation in 3 weeks, and each one pushed the crew harder than the last. "Hostile targets acquired," Hyun-sik called out from the weapon station. "Charging main plasma batteries." The simulation began. Virtual Valkyrie ships opened fire, and the Requiem moved to engage. Jin-woo pushed the engines hard, executing a banking maneuver that would have been impossible for a purely mechanical ship. The Requiem's biological systems flexed and adapted, compensating for stresses that should have torn the hull apart. "Launching fighters," Jin-woo said. 20 human fighters screamed out of the Requiem's hangar bays, modified craft that could interface directly with the mothership's targeting systems. Jin-woo had trained his pilots for months, teaching them to think in 3 dimensions to break every rule the Valkyrie followed. Where Valkyrie pilots flew in strict formations, the human fighters moved like a swarm of angry insects, unpredictable and everywhere at once. Hyun-sik fired the main weapons. The plasma cannons, hybrid creations mixing Valkyrie energy systems with human targeting computers, struck with devastating accuracy. The simulated enemy shields collapsed under the assault. But then something unexpected happened. The weapons fired again without Hyun-sik giving the command. "Captain, the ship is firing on its own," Hyun-sik reported, his voice uncertain. "I see it," Hana said. Through her neural connection, she could feel the Requiem's intent. The ship had sensed the target's vulnerability and taken the follow-up shot automatically. It wasn't malfunctioning. It was helping. "Continue the simulation." The battle continued and the crew began to notice more autonomous actions. The shields reinforced themselves before attacks arrived. The engines adjusted thrust to optimize maneuvers the pilots had only started to think about. The Requiem wasn't just responding to commands. It was anticipating them. "Target destroyed," Hyun-sik announced as the last simulated enemy ship exploded. "Simulation complete. Total time 8 minutes. That's 3 minutes faster than our last run." Dr. Yuna reviewed the data from her science station, frowning. The ship's biological systems are adapting faster than predicted. They're learning from each simulation, evolving in response to combat scenarios. "Is that a problem?" Hana asked. "I don't know," Yuna admitted. "The Valkyrie designed these ships to bond with their crews, but this is different. The Requiem is bonding with us at an accelerated rate. It's almost like it wants to fight." Dae-jung entered the bridge carrying a tablet full of engineering reports. "We've got a bigger problem. The biological components are growing. They've spread into sections where they weren't before. The ship is expanding its living systems throughout the entire hull. Can you stop it?" Hana asked. "Should I?" Dae-jung countered. "So far, every change has improved our performance. The ship is reinforcing weak points, optimizing power distribution, even repairing minor damage on its own. It's making itself better. It's making itself alive, Yuna said quietly, more alive than it was when the Valkyrie had it. That evening, as the crew rested during the sleep cycle, Hana remained on the bridge. She stood alone in the dim lighting, her hand pressed against the wall. Beneath her palm, she could feel a faint pulse like a heartbeat. The ship was sleeping too in its own way. "I know what you are," she whispered to the Requiem. "You're angry just like us. They abandoned you. They threw you away. We understand that feeling." Through the neural interface still connected to her mind, she felt something respond. Not words, but emotions, recognition, agreement, purpose. The next morning, Admiral Sung-ho's face appeared on the main view screen, transmitting from Earth. His expression was grim. "Captain Hana, we have a situation. The Valkyrie attacked the mining colony on Ross 128b yesterday. 400 dead. They hit the orbital station at Tau Ceti this morning. 800 more. They're not negotiating. They're exterminating us one colony at a time." "Where are they now?" Hana asked, her voice cold. "Intelligence reports a Valkyrie supply convoy heading toward the frontier. 12 transport ships with 3 warship escorts. They're supplying their forward bases for a larger invasion." Sung-ho paused. "Earth Command wants you to intercept them." "We're not fully ready," Dae-jung protested. "We've only run simulations." "Then this will be your final test," Sung-ho said. "The Valkyrie don't know the Requiem exists. They think it's still a dead hulk on Kepler 442b. You'll have the element of surprise." "What are our rules of engagement?" Hana asked. "Destroy or capture the convoy. But more importantly, make sure the Valkyrie see you. We're done hiding. We're done running. It's time they learned that attacking humanity has consequences." Sung-ho's image leaned forward. "And Hana, we are broadcasting this engagement across their communication channels. I want every Valkyrie in the Empire to watch what we've done with their ship." After the transmission ended, Hana gathered her senior officers. Jinwoo, Hyunsik, Yuna, and Dae-jung stood around the holographic tactical display showing the convoy's projected route. "This is it," Hana said. "Everything we've worked for comes down to this mission. The Valkyrie left their ship behind because they thought we were too primitive to use it. We're about to prove them wrong. The convoy will be expecting threats," Jinwoo said, studying the tactical display. "They'll have their shields up, weapons charged. Even with the Requiem, those are still Valkyrie warships. But we have advantages they don't expect," Hyunsik said, a fierce smile on his face. "Hybrid weapons they've never seen. Tactics they won't predict, and a ship that wants revenge as badly as we do." "The convoy passes through the Erebus field in 36 hours, Yuna noted, pointing to a region of space littered with debris from an ancient battle. Old shipwrecks, asteroid fragments, lots of places to hide. "Perfect," Hana said. "We'll wait there. Power down to minimal signatures. Let them come to us. And when they're close enough that they can't escape, we hit them with everything we have." The Requiem jumped to faster-than-light travel. Its hybrid systems making the transition smoother than any human ship could manage. As they traveled, the crew made their final preparations. Pilots checked their fighters. Gunners calibrated their weapons. Engineers monitored the fusion of human and Valkyrie technology throughout the ship. Hana returned to her quarters for a few hours of rest before the battle. She lay in her bunk, but sleep wouldn't come. She thought about her brother Tae-min, about the 2,000 people who had died at Kepler 442b, about the 1,200 more killed in the recent attacks. The Valkyrie had started this war without warning, without mercy. Now humanity would show them what that meant. Through the neural interface that never fully disconnected, she felt the Requiem's presence in her mind. The ship was eager, ready. It had been built for war, abandoned in defeat and reborn with purpose. The Valkyrie had thrown away a weapon, and that weapon was coming back for them. 36 hours later, the Requiem drifted silently in the Erebus field. Hidden among the wrecks of ships destroyed centuries ago, the biological systems were powered down to almost nothing, making the ship nearly invisible to sensors. The crew waited in silence, watching their screens, counting down the minutes until the Valkyrie convoy arrived. "Contact," Jinwoo whispered. 12 transport ships, 3 escorts, exactly as predicted. "They have no idea we're here." The Valkyrie convoy moved through the Erebus field like they owned the galaxy. The 3 escort warships flew in a standard defensive formation. their sensors scanning passively but without real concern. Why would they worry? Humanity had no ships capable of threatening Velkari military vessels. The convoy commander, a veteran named Kelvash, had made this supply run dozens of times without incident. Hidden among the ancient wreckage, the Requiem waited. On the bridge, Captain Hana watched the enemy ships approach through her neural connection to the ship's sensors. She could feel the Requiem's anticipation, its biological systems responding to her emotions. The crew sat at their stations in absolute silence, breathing slowly, hands hovering over controls. Convoy is entering optimal firing range, Hyun-sik whispered from the weapons station. All batteries charged and ready. Fighters prepared for launch, Jin-woo added quietly. Pilots report ready. Target lock acquired on the lead escort, Hyun-sik continued. Waiting for your order, Captain. Hana felt her heartbeat synchronize with the ship's pulse. Through the neural interface, the Requiem fed her tactical data directly into her consciousness. She could see the convoy's formation, predict their movements, feel their vulnerability. The Velkari had no idea death was waiting in the wreckage around them. Dr. Yuna, activate the communication intercept, Hana ordered. I want the entire Velkari military network to see this. Yuna's fingers danced across her console, tapping into their military frequencies now. We're broadcasting on all channels. Half the Velkari fleet will be watching this. Good, Hana said coldly. Jinwoo on my mark, full power. Hyun-sik, fire everything. Show them what we've done with their ship. The convoy continued forward, unaware. Kelvash sat in his command chair, reviewing supply manifests, bored. His sensors showed nothing but old wreckage and empty space, another routine run to another insignificant human frontier. Mark, Hana said. The Requiem erupted from the debris field like a monster from nightmares. Its biological hull pulsed with blue-white energy as the hybrid reactor surged to full power. The main plasma batteries, enhanced with human targeting systems and augmented by the ship's living neural network, fired in perfect synchronization. The lead Velkari escort never had a chance to raise its shields. The plasma beams, more powerful than anything the Velkari had designed, punched through the hull like it was paper. Internal explosions tore the ship apart from the inside. It died in seconds. Contact! Kelvash screamed on the Velkari command network. We're under attack! Unknown hostile massive energy signature. His voice cut off as he saw the sensor readings. Impossible. That's the Talgarath. That's our ship. Not anymore, Hana said, her words broadcast directly onto the Velkari channel through the captured communication array. You left it behind. We brought it back. The remaining 2 Velkari escorts scrambled to respond, bringing shields online and charging weapons. But the Requiem wasn't alone. 20 human fighters exploded from its hangar bays, spreading out in an attack pattern that defied Velkari tactical doctrine. Jinwoo had trained his pilots to move chaotically, to attack from unexpected angles to break every rule the Velkari followed. All fighters, engage at will, Jinwoo commanded. Remember your training. Make them chase you. The fighters darted between the transport ships, using them as cover. The Velkari escorts tried to target them, but their point defense systems couldn't track the erratic human flight patterns. Then something incredible happened. The fighters' hybrid systems linked directly with the Requiem, and the mothership's targeting computers took control of the Velkari weapons. Hacking their defense grid, Yuna reported with grim satisfaction. Their own guns are locking onto their own ships. Kelvash watched in horror as his escort's point defense systems turned inward and began firing on the convoy's transport ships. Shut down the automated systems. Go to manual control. But it was too late. The hybrid human Velkari technology was faster, smarter, and far more aggressive than the original systems. Before the Velkari crews could respond, 3 transport ships were crippled, their engines destroyed by their own defensive weapons. The second escort warship tried to run, its engines flaring as it attempted to reach faster than light speed. Hyun-sik had prepared for this. He triggered a weapon he had spent months perfecting, something the Velkari would never have imagined. The beam struck the escaping ship, and instead of destroying it outright, it targeted the vessel's biological components specifically. The living systems that formed the Velkari ship's neural network began to die, and as they died, they sent feedback through every connected system. The ship's AI went mad, receiving conflicting signals from dying organic matter. It fired on its own convoy, turned its shields inside out, and then simply stopped, floating dead in space with its crew still alive inside but unable to control anything. "What did you do?" Kelvash broadcast, his voice filled with horror. "What did you do to our ship?" "We improved your technology," Yunsik replied, his voice cold. "Your biological systems are brilliant, but they have a weakness. They can get sick. We just gave your ship a disease it can't fight." The last escort, Kelvash's ship, tried to fight back properly. It was newer, faster, and its crew was experienced. They launched missiles, fired plasma beams, and coordinated their attacks with tactical precision. For a moment, they seemed to have a chance. The Requiem's shields flickered under the assault. Then the ship got angry. "Captain, the Requiem is responding autonomously," Dae-jung reported, watching his engineering displays with awe and fear. "The biological systems are adapting to the attack in real time." The living hull shifted, growing denser in the areas taking fire. The shields restructured themselves, creating overlapping layers that dispersed the plasma beams harmlessly. And the ship's weapon systems, enhanced by both human ingenuity and Velkari biotechnology, returned fire with devastating accuracy. Hana didn't even need to give the command. The Requiem knew what she wanted. It wanted the same thing. Kelvash's escort was methodically torn apart, weapons destroyed first, then engines, then life support systems. The ship was left intact but helpless, floating in space with its crew trapped inside. "Target the remaining transport's engines only," Hana ordered. "I want them alive." Within 10 more minutes, the entire convoy was disabled. 12 transport ships floated powerless in space. 2 escort warships were destroyed completely. The third was captured with its crew alive but defeated. Kelvash sat in his darkened command center, staring at his screens in disbelief. "How?" he whispered on the open channel. "You're primitives. You barely have space travel. You couldn't possibly understand our technology." "You made 2 mistakes," Hana replied, her voice broadcast across every Velkari military frequency and range. "First, you attacked us without provocation. You killed our people, destroyed our homes, and thought we were too weak to fight back. Second, you left your ship behind." She stood from her command chair, walking to the main view screen where Kelvash's image appeared, his alien features twisted in shock and humiliation. "We took your broken weapon and we made it better. We combined your biotechnology with our adaptability. We created something you never imagined. And now we're going to use it to make sure you regret every human life you've taken." "This is war," Kelvash said, trying to regain some dignity. "The Velkari Empire will crush you for this." "You declared war when you fired on civilians," Hana said coldly. "We're just returning fire. And we want your empire to know something. We're not afraid anymore. We're not running. You left your most powerful ship behind like garbage, and now it's coming back for you. Tell your fleet commanders. Tell your empire. The Requiem is hunting." She ended the transmission and turned to her crew. They looked exhausted but triumphant. In 30 minutes of combat, they had disabled an entire Velkari convoy without losing a single fighter or taking serious damage. The battle had been broadcast across Velkari military channels. By now, thousands of Velkari officers would have seen the footage, seen what humanity had done with their abandoned technology. "Secure the transport ships and take the survivors prisoner," Hana ordered. "Strip the vessels for intelligence and supplies. Then we head home." As the crew worked, Dr. Yuna approached Hana with a worried expression. "Captain, you need to see this. The ship's biological components have grown significantly during the battle. They spread into new sections, reinforced the weapons, even created new neural pathways." "Is that a problem?" Hana asked. "The Requiem isn't just adapting anymore. It's evolving." The combat triggered something in the biological systems. They experienced what they were designed for, and they want more. Yuna pulled up detailed scans. "The ship is becoming more alive, more aware. I'm not sure we're controlling it anymore. I think we're partnering with it." Hana looked around the bridge at her crew, then at the disabled Velkari ships floating in space outside. "As long as it wants to fight the Velkari as much as we do, I can live with that." The news of the convoy's destruction spread through the Velkari Empire like poison. Fleet Commander Vortash watched the battle footage for the 20th time, his clawed hands gripping his command chair. He had ordered the attack on Kepler 442b 18 months ago. He had commanded the fleet to destroy the human colony and abandon the damaged Talgorath. He had dismissed humanity as an insignificant species barely worth noticing. Now that decision haunted him. The humans had taken his ship, his pride, and turned it into a weapon specifically designed to humiliate the Velkari Empire. The footage showed Velkari technology enhanced, improved, and wielded by creatures the Empire considered primitive. It was intolerable. "Assemble a hunter fleet," Vortash commanded. 15 warships, our best crews, newest vessels. I will personally lead them. That abomination must be destroyed, and the humans must learn the price of defying the Empire. The Velkari High Command approved immediately. This wasn't just military strategy anymore. This was about honor, about power, about showing the galaxy that the Velkari Empire could not be challenged. They mobilized their forces and prepared for the largest engagement of the war. On Earth, Admiral Sung Ho stood in the military command center, watching intelligence reports flood in. The Velkari are gathering a massive fleet. They're coming for the Requiem specifically. Good, Captain Hana replied over the communication channel from her ship. Let them come. But not here. We choose the battlefield. We fight at Kepler 442b where it all started. That's what you want? Sung Ho asked. To bring the fight back to the place where thousands died? It's where they learned to fear us, Hana said. It's where they made their mistake. It's where we'll finish this. For 3 months, Daejung's engineering teams worked around the clock. They turned Kepler 442b's orbital space into a massive trap. Hidden weapons platforms were positioned throughout the debris field, left from the original attack. Automated defense drones were programmed with the unpredictable tactics Jin Woo had developed, and 3 more partially completed hybrid ships, crewed by skeleton teams, joined the Requiem. Hyun-sik worked obsessively on his weapon systems. He barely slept, barely ate. His engineers worried about him, but he pushed them away. They killed everyone I loved, he said. I'm going to make sure their ships feel what we felt. Pain, loss, death. He succeeded. His new weapons were horrifying in their effectiveness. They specifically targeted the biological components in Velkari vessels, causing the living systems to attack the mechanical parts. A Velkari ship hit by these weapons would essentially eat itself from the inside. Dr. Yuna made a discovery that changed everything. The Requiem's biological systems had continued evolving, and they had developed the ability to communicate directly with other Velkari ships. Not just intercept communications, but actually interface with their neural networks. We can hack their ships at the biological level, Yuna explained to Hana. The Requiem remembers being Velkari. It can pretend to be one of them long enough to get inside their systems. Then we can take control. Do it, Hana said without hesitation. Prepare that system for the battle. I want to be able to turn their own fleet against them. Jin Woo drilled his expanded fighter wing relentlessly. He now commanded over 100 pilots, all flying hybrid fighters that could interface with the Requiem and the other hybrid ships. They practiced formation flying, then deliberately broke formation to attack in chaotic swarms. They learned to use the debris field, the weapons platforms, and even damaged ships as tactical advantages. When Vortash's hunter fleet finally arrived at Kepler 442b, they found the Requiem waiting for them in orbit above the colony. The hybrid ship sat alone, broadcasting on all frequencies, daring the Velkari to attack. Arrogant primitives, Vortash snarled. They think one stolen ship can defeat 15 of our finest warships. Show them their mistake. All vessels attack formation. Destroy that abomination. The Velkari fleet moved forward in perfect coordination, following centuries of tactical doctrine. They formed a sphere around the Requiem, cutting off all escape routes. Their weapons charged simultaneously, preparing to fire a combined barrage that would overwhelm any shields. Now, Hana whispered. The hidden weapons platforms activated, firing from dozens of positions throughout the debris field. The automated drones swarmed forward in unpredictable attack patterns. The 3 hybrid ships powered up from where they had been hiding, disguised as wreckage. And Jin Woo's fighter wing launched over 100 craft moving in a coordinated chaos that confused Velkari targeting systems. Vortash realized too late that he had flown into a trap. Defensive formation. Watch for Hyun-sik fired his bioweapons. 3 Velkari warships screamed over the communication channels as their living systems went mad. Biological components attacking mechanical ones. The ships didn't explode. They slowly tore themselves apart from the inside, their crews helpless to stop the process. Break formation, Vortash commanded. Individual engagement. Don't let them isolate you. But breaking formation was exactly what the humans wanted. The Velkari had always fought as a unified force, following strict patterns. Scattered and fighting individually, they lost their primary advantage. Jinwu's fighters exploited this ruthlessly, targeting isolated ships with hit-and-run attacks. The battle raged for hours. The Valkyrie were powerful, experienced, and desperately motivated. They destroyed one of the hybrid ships and damaged another badly. They eliminated dozens of human fighters and shattered several weapons platforms. But they were fighting on humanity's terms now, in a battlefield prepared specifically to counter Valkyrie tactics. Vortash's flagship pushed forward, trying to reach the Requiem directly. "If I can destroy that ship, the humans lose their symbol," he said to his crew. "Ram them if you must. Just bring that abomination down." Hana watched the flagship approach through her neural connection to the Requiem. She could feel the ship's eagerness to engage its former commander. The biological systems remembered Vortash. They remembered being abandoned. They wanted revenge. "Dr. Yuna, activate the neural interface weapon," Hana ordered. "Let's show them what their technology can really do." As Vortash's flagship closed to ramming distance, the Requiem extended tendrils of biological matter, faster than the Valkyrie could react. The living systems reached out and physically connected to the enemy ship's hull, piercing through and interfacing directly with its neural network. "What's happening?" Vortash screamed as his controls went dead. "What are they doing?" The Requiem wasn't just hacking Vortash's ship. It was taking it over completely, forcing the biological systems to accept human commands. The Valkyrie flagship's weapons turned on its own fleet. Its engines fired in reverse. And through it all, Vortash could only watch helplessly as his ship betrayed him. "This is what you created," Hana broadcast directly to Vortash. "Ships that live, that think, that remember. You abandoned the Talgorith and it found new friends. Friends who don't throw away their weapons when they get damaged." The remaining Valkyrie ships saw their flagship under enemy control and broke. Some tried to retreat, others surrendered. The hunter fleet that had come to destroy the Requiem was scattered, defeated not by superior numbers but by superior adaptation. Vortash sat in his command chair, surrounded by systems that no longer obeyed him. "You've won this battle," he said bitterly. "But the Empire will send more fleets. We will never stop." "Yes, you will," Hana replied, "because every Valkyrie ship you send will learn from. Every battle makes us stronger. You taught us that when you left your dreadnought behind. We're not going to make that mistake. We're going to take every advantage, learn from every fight, and keep coming back stronger." She paused, then added, "Tell your Empire that humanity is done being victims. We're not negotiating. We're not surrendering. And we're not forgetting what you did to our people. The Requiem is just the first. We're building more hybrid ships. We're combining your technology with our ingenuity. You started this war. We're going to finish it." The battle ended with 12 Valkyrie ships destroyed or captured. 3 escaped to carry the news back to the Empire. The cost to humanity was heavy. 1 hybrid ship destroyed, another damaged, 57 fighters lost, and over 200 personnel dead. But they had proven something crucial. Humanity could fight the Valkyrie Empire and win. In the days after the battle, as repairs began and casualties were counted, Hana stood on the observation deck of the Requiem. Taejung found her there, staring at the stars. "We did it," Taejung said quietly. "We beat them. The Valkyrie are already broadcasting peace proposals. They want to negotiate." "Good," Hana replied. "But we negotiate from strength now, not desperation." "I'm worried about the ship," Taejung admitted. "The biological systems are spreading faster than ever. They're in every section now, making decisions independently. During the battle, the Requiem took actions we didn't command. It knew what we needed before we asked." "Is that a problem?" Hana asked, though she already knew the answer. "I don't know. We created something new by combining human technology with Valkyrie biotechnology, but I'm not sure we're in control anymore. I think the Requiem is its own entity now. It chooses to work with us, but it's not a tool. It's a partner. Maybe more." Dr. Yuna joined them, carrying her usual data tablet.